On this episode, we visit Cabot, Arkansas, where a new sidewalk lets children walk home from school. Then we travel to Kentucky, where we learn about bicycling for Louisville. Louisville has decided to become a bicycle-friendly community. Finally, we talk with a pedestrian advocate in Louisville. Stay tuned. We're in Cabot, Arkansas, talking with Carol Steen. What road are we along here?
This is Highway 89. Depending on what part of town, it's either Highway 89 Main or Highway 89 South Pine.
Now, what's the story of this brand new sidewalk we're standing on?
This is so exciting, I can't tell you. I've lived two houses in Cabot, one on either side of Highway 89. This is our Phase 2, which is connected to our Phase 1, and this particular portion is going to pick up 3 schools and a grocery store, residences, commercials, everything in between.
What was it like here for people before the sidewalk went in?
Absolutely impossible for some people. You only had a choice. You either were on the road with the cars at your elbow, or you were in the road ditches with the roadkill. So it was a very inhospitable place to walk or ride bike. So most people just wouldn't do it. In fact, there are a few people who think that pedestrians aren't even allowed on this road because it's a state highway, regardless of the fact that it's a main street through our town and our city does have some jurisdiction over it.
Obviously quite an improvement.
Yes.
What's the history of sidewalks in Cabot? If we went back half a century, what did you have?
Well, I discovered something when I first came to Cabot. We walked through some of the older neighborhoods, and apparently this was a walkable community 50 years ago or 40, 30 years ago, because there's remnants of old, beautiful, wide sidewalks with huge buffer zones where trees and grass and flowers, everything were. But now you have to really poke with your shoe and look underneath the dirt and the grass and the flowers to see that sidewalks did exist, and people must have walked. And they were even on both sides of the street, some of the streets.
It must be good to see a return to some of the old traditions.
Yes, we're sort of mimicking the old traditions. We are enamored of this one idea, though, that sidewalks should only be, if they have to be, if they must be, on one side of the street. It doesn't really make sense from a pedestrian's point of view, but we're so happy to at least have them on this side.
And you've got some new construction going on in town. What's the city putting up?
Oh gosh, this is a wonderful place to live. I mean, we have so many amenities, so many new public facilities, a brand new high school. It's just gorgeous. We have a new community center on a 7-acre park that's going up. It has a veterans park with the World War II monument with the names inscribed, the community center, a neighborhood park, playground. It's great.
Are they going to have pedestrian connections like this?
Well, that kind of depends on who you ask. However, if you look at the site, there is no road grading or anything that gives any indication that there's going to be sidewalks on the site of this public facility, which was built with public funds. And I don't see any indication of grading or relocation of utilities or maybe even sidewalk easement acquisition going on. But we're told really recently sidewalks will be put down. We don't know exactly where.
But why is it important that there are sidewalks connecting to the new community center?
Because a whole lot of people can't get there otherwise. And we are a small town, but we can generate some big town traffic, and we're almost darn proud of it. And there's a whole neighborhood that exists behind the community center, which houses a lot of seniors, a lot of people with disabilities, a lot of low income or moderate income, it doesn't matter. They're all just right there within about a stone's throw away from that community facility. So a lot of them would welcome the chance just to leave the car at home, grab the kids, grab grandma, put them on the lap of Grandpa on the scooter and just walk there or roll there. So we're really hoping that the sidewalks will get laid. Now the community center is supposed to open up in about a month.
We're in Louisville, Kentucky, talking with Barry Zalf with Bicycling for Louisville. What is that organization?
Bicycling for Louisville is a 2-year-old nonprofit organization that works to improve the safety, convenience, attractiveness, and popularity of bicycling throughout the greater metropolitan Louisville region.
What are some of the issues you're working on at the moment?
Well, probably our biggest focus right now is working to improve attitudes between motorists and bicyclists, and also to improve behavior by both groups of road users. We have a lot of, unfortunately, unsafe and inconsiderate bicycling that goes on. People who really don't know to ride on the right-hand side of the street, for example, or to ride on the streets as opposed to riding on the sidewalks where they endanger pedestrians. We also have a lot of inconsiderate and unsafe motorist behavior. And so we're trying to address those educational and attitude issues. Also, there's a tremendous wealth of new bicycle and pedestrian projects under development in Louisville in terms of new paths and bike lanes and road improvements and so on. And we're working to make sure that those projects get done well, that all the technical details are done as best to serve the bicyclists over the next 30 years as possible, because that's where we will be riding over the next 30 years.
And sometimes the little details can make a big difference in a bicycle or a pedestrian facility. What happens when you spend a lot of money on bicycle infrastructure and you don't get it quite right?
Well, there are a couple of things that can happen. First of all, there's the backlash from the bicycling community, where they've sat through public hearings, they've written letters to their elected officials and to the government bureaucrats, and feel that they've been listened to, and gee, they're building all these new facilities, and then they get built and you go out riding on them and the curves are too sharp and they're not swept of broken glass and gravel and so on, and all of a sudden you feel that after all of my hard work as an advocate was for naught, because the facility still doesn't work to meet my needs. Then there's the backlash from motorists or non-bicyclists, where they see that millions of dollars of public money has been spent on these new facilities for bicycling, which of course got lots of good attention in the press, and now the bicyclists are busy complaining again. So what's this all about? We're never going to spend money on those bozos again.
And back to the education and attitudes, how do you educate the public? They're busy, watching the latest sitcom or soap opera on TV. They're happy with the way they are. How do you reach them?
Well, I think first of all, very few people respond to negative messages. You're bad, you're doing the wrong thing, shape up or ship out. Really, we need to take on a positive message, which is we're all the same. We're all human beings, regardless of our choice of transportation mode, whether we walk, take transit, ride bicycle, or drive cars. We all enjoy our life better. We all have fewer traffic accidents, fewer delays, experience less inconvenience if we treat each other decently. So let's build for ourselves a city that we enjoy living in, and part of the way we enjoy living in it is by treating each other decently. So frame the message more positively and enlist people into helping to make their community better.
What are some of the education programs you have out there to reach people?
Well, we're pretty excited about several of the things we have in progress right now. We work with inner city kids, teaching them how to refurbish old bikes so that they can earn a bike that they've helped to build themselves. We teach them how to ride the bicycle safely and then take them on progressively longer rides so that they can develop more of a sense of their own capabilities, because very few 12-year-olds can conceive of riding their bicycles 20 miles at one time, but yet we have kids who didn't ride bicycle at all, and after 3 months with us are riding 20 miles at a time. That's one of the programs that we really enjoy. We're also working with Jefferson County Public Schools to do an after-school bicycle safety education program. It's a 9-hour skills-based curriculum so that you're not just learning in the classroom, you're actually riding your bicycle in a parking lot and on neighborhood streets, learning how to handle it safely in traffic. We do a very similar curriculum for adults, where we help adults learn how to negotiate through different traffic situations, use their bicycle as a transportation tool, and feel more confident and efficient using it recreationally as well. And finally, we're working on what we hope will be a very entertaining short video for motorists that we hope will be shown in driver's education classes and traffic school and in civic association meetings and so on, to address the issue of why and how to treat bicyclists better on the road. And one of the things that we find exciting about this project is that we're building a lot of mutuality into it. We're showing how both the bicyclists and the motorists have plenty of fault to share, and how we can really look out for each other and make lives easier for each other and for ourselves if we pay attention to the way we handle ourselves on the road.
We're in Louisville, Kentucky, talking with Mohammed Nouri, who's with the Planning and Design Department of Metro Louisville. What's your involvement with bicycle planning?
My involvement really is a directive from the mayor to make Louisville a bicycle-friendly community. And that's been the directive that started about a year and a half ago as a result of the first ever bicycle summit that was held here in Louisville in February of 2005.
Now what happened at the bike summit?
Really, the bike summit was it was a platform that we wanted to launch programs to, again, going back to the objective, and that was to make Louisville a bicycle-friendly community. And the summit served that purpose. Primarily and most importantly, brought the entire community together. So it was not one specific department or a specific initiative of a organization within the city, but rather it encompassed the entire community. And that's where the mayor invited about 200 citizens, community leaders, the cyclists, the user groups, the professionals, the planners, and so forth. So when we got together at the end of the day and a half summit or exercise, it was the community's plan that really emerged to the top, and it had near unanimous backing and consensus within that plan that has really was the beginning of the making of Louisville a bicycle-friendly community. And we think we are on the right track, and in fact we are ahead of our planning and ahead of our target and projections at this point.
What sort of things were in the plan that came out of the summit?
There were all kinds of stuff. It began with some of the simple stuff like to have community events, community cycling events. People were really specific on that. They asked the mayor, we want to have a bicycle rides, community bicycle rides. And it went all the way up to this whole visioning of a perimeter ring around the community that we call it today. It has really transformed and manifested itself in a form of a very ambitious community program we call the City of Parks Initiative, which is about 99 or 100 miles loop around the city, around the the new Louisville, and that is in a system of linear parks that is going to have the bicycling and walking paths. So that will be, again, it started from the specific programs such as the bike rides all the way to this vision of a city of parks around our community.
And how do you draw the balance in a plan like this between what some people might call recreational bicycle facilities, your path through the park, and more utilitarian transportation, which might be your bike lanes on the road or something like that?
One of the criteria that we set for ourselves was, again, the summit was a perfect opportunity, a perfect forum for it. That was not, we were not catering after a specific interest. Again, in a community, you have all of those user groups that you mentioned. You have the recreational cyclists, you have these avid and very skilled cyclists. You have people that use cycling as their primary means of transportation for whatever reason. And then you have the young and the children that they might be going to school. So as a result of all of that, we wanted to encompass and bring all of these users groups under this umbrella of this bicycle-friendly Louisville. As such, we are addressing their specific needs at each of those little pods that we have created. Again, that includes all of the cyclists in the community.
And how do you encourage someone who's entirely new to cycling to get out and try it, and then possibly progress to the point where they're actually doing cycling to run errands every day?
Well, we do that in a couple of different ways. One is these cycling community events that we have 2 of those each year on the Memorial Day and also the Labor Day. That act itself, we create a safe and enjoyable environment for at all levels of the cycling. We in fact had some people, some children on the training wheels that they did complete the entire 14-15 mile course. So that is one way that we involve the community in the whole notion of the cycling. Second, once you are there, once the interest has been sparked, then if you do need training, again, as a direct result of the summit's recommendation, we are providing classes for 2 groups of cyclists. One is the children, and one is the adults. On the children, we are focusing on this whole principle of learning, and that is what is learned in life will always influence the behavior later in life. As a result of that, we are developing a curriculum within the Jefferson County Public School system to teach the 7th, 8th, and 9th graders basically the basics and the ABCs of the bicycling, whether it's the bicycle itself, the proper clothing, the proper gears, and so forth, in order to generate and create a new generation of a skilled and competent cyclist. At the same time, and in a parallel track, we're also trying to educate and make a competent and skilled cyclist of the adults in this community. And we do that with a specific program in collaboration with the Louisville Bicycle Club, which is one of the nation's actually largest bicycling organizations. And they do have these classes that you go there, you register free of charge, first come, first served basis, and they will teach you the same thing that we are teaching the children, but of course at a different format and a different style. And as a result of that, we think that we will create a pool and this whole body of the new cyclists in this community. And again, they know the rules, they are competent, and they're skillful. Going back to one, really the premise of this whole thing is to create a safe and functional cycling environment for people in this community.
Louisville's like a lot of cities. You're on a major river, the Ohio River, and like a lot of cities, you have the issue of how do cyclists or pedestrians get from one side of the river to the other. How are you addressing that challenge?
We are addressing that in the form of a couple of huge initiatives. Number one, we have only one in this community of about 700,000 to 800,000. Well, actually, if you count our friends across the river in southern Indiana, we are approaching about 1 million people who are living in this region. In reality, there is only one way, one bridge that links us, and that is in downtown, the 2nd Street Bridge. So that is we need to understand what we have today. So that is one. However, there are a couple of 2 new Ohio River bridges that are being planned and designed at this point. Through, again, involvement of this community and working with the Federal Highway Administration, we have made sure that these 2 new bridges, and these are interstate system type of bridges, that they will have a bicycling and pedestrian facilities across these spans. So though with those having in mind, so that will provide a additional 2 routes across the river. And lastly, we do have a bridge in the western part of Louisville. We call it the K&I Bridge, which is an active railroad bridge today. However, it does have 2 side roads that's been, at one point they were active transportation routes for cars. One went one way to Indiana and one came from Indiana to Louisville. Well, since I believe in 70s or early 70s, those 2 roadways have been abandoned. We are aggressively working with our counterparts and our colleagues across the river in Indiana, trying to persuade the railroad officials to open up one of those roads that will provide additional immediate access across the Ohio River. And once we do that, and when we couple that with another pedestrian bridge we call the Big 4 Bridge, right at the heart of downtown. And that, by the way, there's a standing bridge, but it does not have any ends. It doesn't go anywhere. It just sits right on top of the Ohio River. So when we open those 2 up, when you couple that, all of a sudden we have a 9-mile loop that really connects Louisville to the Indiana via these 2 bridges. Again, Big 4 on one end and this K&I Bridge on the other one. With Big 4, it's a done deal. We are working with our Waterfront Development Corporation. It's actually in design, and I believe the design has been already completed. So hopefully we're going to go into the construction. K&I is more of a longer term that we need to negotiate the use of that particular portion of that railroad bridge. Once it's done, again, we have this nice loop around the community that connects both Indiana and Kentucky together.
If I was to come back in several years and talk to you again, how would you measure whether your plan has been successful?
We will measure our plan, its success of the plan, by if we have more cyclists on the roadway. Not only that we have more cyclists, but they are skilled ones, they are competent cyclists. We are also not focusing on the cycling community alone, because in an environment, in a built environment such as Louisville, we also need to have an informed citizenry of the car drivers or the automobile users, because we'll be really truly successful when we have created the safe environments for all the users. And that includes the cars, that includes the pedestrians, that includes the transit users and the bicyclists. That's when we will measure our success at that point. And we will also measure our success, but how safe that environment is. When the usage has gone up, when we see there are different types of cyclists, not only just the recreational cycling, but also the functional cyclists, that you may use your bicycle to go to pick up a gallon of milk from your nearby grocery store. That's when we will measure our success at that point. And we are confident that we are going to get there. How soon? That really depends on the tenacity and all the commitment and the level of the commitment that this community is going to go put behind this initiative.
We're in Louisville, Kentucky, talking with Sarah Lynn Cunningham. What are some of the problems you see pedestrians confronting on a day-to-day basis?
Just that plenty of places there is no sidewalk for them to use, and if there is, it's being abused, misused, and made unavailable to them. And it's partially, I think, because a lot of people aren't paying attention and don't care to pay attention, but it's oftentimes just outward hostility.
What sort of misuse of the sidewalk is common?
It is routine in certain neighborhoods to see people park their automobiles on top of the sidewalk, and I don't just mean the curb, I mean up on the sidewalk, oftentimes all four wheels, completely blocking it and making it inaccessible. I see people storing trash. 4 times a year, each neighborhood has the government comes by and picks up big, bulky kinds of trash. And you'll see people store that stuff on top of the sidewalk for a few weeks or even a month or so beforehand, a refrigerator or something. I see them do it in neighborhoods where a high percentage of the people are blind, and they don't seem to get the idea that blind people running into a refrigerator and then having to go into the street is a problem. There are used car lots and mechanics places, these people who think in terms of cars, and they'll just park their cars all on top of the sidewalk, even in the neighborhood where all the blind people live. It's bizarre.
And you say this is part of a broader problem?
It's just an autocentric culture. I really believe the dominant species in our culture is the internal combustion engine, not humans.
How do you address a problem like that? Where do you start?
Well, I think it's probably like most problems. If the audience that's committing the misdeed doesn't even see it as a misdeed, you first got to show them that it's a misdeed. And then you can hope that some of them will modify their behavior voluntarily. And then you have to use enforcement for the others. But you, of course, have to get the enforcers to see it as a problem as well. And I see the police parking on the sidewalk, too.
Yeah. Have you had what's been your experience trying to get enforcement against some of these violations?
Well, it's like anything else. It depends on who you're talking to and what kind of a day they're having and that sort of thing. If I call on the spot, sometimes I think they're being receptive, and sometimes I think they're going to maybe send somebody by if it's convenient. But oftentimes it feels patronizing, like they're taking it down because they're supposed to. And then I even have them say things to me like, well, we'll try to get out there. The best one I've heard is, and I've heard it more than once, I'll say a pedestrian in a wheelchair could not get through this sidewalk because of all these automobiles parked here. And the dispatcher will say, are you in a wheelchair? And I'll say, well, no, but does that matter? And they say yes, because if you're trying to get through, we'll send somebody directly. If you're not, and you can get around, we might not get around to it. And I'll go, but that's not appropriate. And they'll say, well, we have more important things we have to cover sometimes. And they always say, what if it's a domestic abuse call? That has to take priority, don't you think? It's like you can't argue with this mentality. And I believe that if I see this all the time, so do the enforcement people. And if they wrote 2 tickets a day, I really believe if everybody knew somebody who had gotten a ticket for that, everybody would believe it's not acceptable behavior, you're going to get a ticket, and they would stop it. It doesn't take much leadership at all to fix these problems. It just takes initiative, leadership, commitment. And it also takes a willingness for elected officials to piss off some voters, which they're loath to do.
Visit us on the internet at www.pedestrians.org.